Some stories are difficult to tell, but sometimes telling them is where healing begins. My guest today is Daniel. He's 52 years old, a husband, a father, and someone who says he spent most of his life believing that keeping his emotions to himself was simply part of who he was. But a few years ago, he began to understand that there was something much deeper underneath it. Daniel, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, I almost canceled.
Really?
I've spent most of my life avoiding conversations like this. So sitting here and knowing I'm about to talk about things I've never really talked about, it's uncomfortable.
Then let's start there. You've described yourself as someone who is emotionally closed off. What do you mean by that?
I don't know if I have a better word for it. I don't really know how to let people in. When someone is crying, I don't always know what to say. When someone tells me they love me, sometimes my first instinct is to make a joke or two that I was physically there but emotionally somewhere else.
Were you always like that?
I used to think I was. I thought maybe I was just boy. My father wasn't affectionate. He wasn't the kind of hugged you or sat down and asked how you felt. If you were sad, you were expected to get over it. If you were scared, you kept it to yourself. So I grew up thinking that was what being a man meant. You don't complain, you don't cry.
How was your childhood generally?
There were good parts. That's the thing people don't understand. It wasn't a completely terrible childhood. We had food, I went to school, there were birthdays, there were Christmases. From the outside, everything probably looked normal. But there was something that happened to me when I was a child that I never told anybody about.
How old were you?
11.
Do you remember what happened?
I remember pieces, not everything. I remember where I was. I remember being confused. I remember being told not to tell anyone. And I remember believing I was a child. I didn't understand what was happening, but I understood that I was supposed to keep quiet.
Who was the person?
Someone my family trusted. That's all I'll say. Even now.
That's completely understandable. Why didn't you tell your parents?
Fear and shame. I thought people would ask me why I didn't stop it. I thought they would look at me differently. And because I was a boy, there was another layer to it. I didn't even have the language for what had happened. I just knew that something had happened to me that I didn't want anyone to know about.
And you never spoke about it again?
No. I went to school. I grew up. I got a job. I got married. I had children. Life continued. And I became very good at pretending that nothing had happened.
When you look back now, do you think what happened affected the man you became?
I just didn't know it at the time. I became angry very easily. I hated being vulnerable. If my wife wanted to have a serious emotional conversation, I would shut down. If my children wanted reassurance, sometimes I would tell them to stop being dramatic. And I regret that.
Were you abusive?
I wasn't physically abusive, but emotionally,
Yeah.
I think I was. I could be cruel with words. I'd give people the silent treatment. I'd make people feel like their emotions were inconvenient. And sometimes I'd say things that I knew would hurt. I wasn't hitting anybody, but that doesn't mean I wasn't hurting people.
Did you ever connect that behavior to what happened to you as a child?
Not for a very long time. I thought they were separate things. I thought something happened to me when I was 11. That's the past. And then there was the adult me. I didn't realize how much the two were connected.
So what changed?
My marriage. We were having problems. My wife told me something I'll never forget. She said, "I don't know how to reach you anymore." And that sentence broke something in me because I realized she had been trying for years and I had been making her feel like she was the problem.
For wanting closeness.
What happened after that? We separated. And for the first time in my life, I had nobody to hide behind. No wife, no children around me, no work, no excuses, just me. And all the things I'd spent years avoiding started coming back.
Is that when you finally talked about what happened?
Yes, I told someone for the first time. I was in my late 40s. I sat there and said the words out loud. And I remember thinking, why am I shaking? I was almost 50 years old. But suddenly I felt 11 again.
What did it feel like saying it out loud?
Terrifying, but also relieving. Not because it disappeared, it didn't, but because for the first time, it wasn't only inside my head.
You said earlier that you had become emotionally abusive toward people you love. Did acknowledging your own trauma make you feel differently about the things you had done?
But not in the way people might expect. I didn't suddenly think, well, I was abused, so everything I did is understandable. No. If anything, I became more accountable because I realized something. My trauma explained some of my behavior. It did not excuse it. My children didn't cause what happened to me. My wife didn't cause what happened to me. They shouldn't have had to suffer because I refused to deal with it.
That's a difficult realization.
It was. Because for a long time, I wanted someone to blame. I wanted to blame the person who hurt me. I wanted to blame my parents for not knowing. I wanted to blame myself. But eventually I realized that none of that was going to fix what I had done to the people around me.
Did you ever tell your children?
Eventually. Not everything. They didn't need every detail. But I told them that there were things that happened to me when I was young that I never dealt with. And I apologized. Not for being abused. I will never apologize for that. I apologized for the way my pain affected them.
How did they react?
One of them hugged me. The other one didn't. And honestly, I understood. I wanted forgiveness immediately, but I realized I wasn't entitled to it. I hurt them, so if they needed time, they deserved time.
If you could go back and sit beside that 11-year-old boy, what would you tell him?
You didn't do anything wrong. I think that's the sentence I've needed my entire life. You didn't do anything wrong. I'd tell him that he didn't need to keep the secret, that being afraid didn't make him weak, that what happened to him wasn't his fault. And I'd probably hug him, because nobody did.
Do you think that little boy is still somewhere inside you?
Yeah, I think he is. And for most of my life, I was angry at him. I thought he was weak. Now I just feel sorry for him. He was a child. He was trying to survive something he didn't understand.
Do you think you've healed?
No. I don't think healing means you wake up one morning and everything is gone. I think I've just stopped running from it. That's different. I'm still learning how to talk. I'm still learning how to be close to people. Still learning how to be a father without letting my past decide how I treat my children. And maybe that's what healing is, trying again.
Daniel, thank you for trusting us with this conversation.
Thank you. It feels strange saying all of this out loud, but I'm glad I did.
To everyone listening, sometimes the things we bury don't disappear. They simply wait for us until we're finally ready to look at them. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.